All right, shalom, shalom. Peace, Israel. It's your brother Zaquan from Prophets in Babylon camp down here in Tampa, Florida. I'd like to give our glory, honor, and praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do teach and rule well. And peace and salutations to the hope of let's gather abroad. All right, today, as you can see, it's July 4th, also known as the 4th of July, okay, where you have people out here, popping fireworks to celebrate the so-called independence of America. Okay, where they tell you this is also to celebrate, the freeing of slaves, which in reality, you still had slavery going on in this time, man. Okay, you have Jake, following the ways of the heathen, all right, and they celebrating 4th of July. Little do you know, you're celebrating your own captivity, okay? Because during this time, you still had Jake in slavery, okay? Jake wasn't popping fireworks and chucking and jiving back then with Esau, man, okay? Jake was on plantation. And I have a Time article here that I'm going to read, to touch up on certain things that happened back then, okay? But I want to grab the scripts before I hop into it, okay? I want to get the book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8. It says, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men." Okay, and it says beware, which meaning this is a warning, okay? Because men are going to try to spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit after the tradition of men. Also, 4th of July is a perfect example. You also have Valentine's Day, Christmas, and all these other, holidays that they have so-called, okay? But the Lord gave us a warning because people are going to try to spoil you, man, meaning, all right, to deceive you, to celebrate these things, all right, and partake with them, okay? It says after the rudiments of the world and not after Hamashiach, right? After the rudiments and basically the traditions of this world and not after Hamashiach, not after the Lord, okay? This is the Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI did not set it up for Jake to be out here partying and popping fireworks, to be simple, okay? You have Jake on this side, oh, it's for the kids, okay? All right, you have to realize you letting your kids partake in their own downfall, especially you blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Y'all party harder than Esau, okay? And Shalakia for any noises in the background, these people in here throwing parties, doing whatever they do, while they doing that, we knocking lessons out, man, the simpletons have that. But, this is not of Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, okay? And you got simple-minded niggas, they'll use this day to dress up like an American flag, all right? They throw on red, white, and blue, paint their face, throw parties, barbecue, grill, all right? It just goes to show you that Jake is destroyed, man. Okay, you falling after the ways of the heathen, okay? Scripture said this, Jeremiah 10 and 2, "Thus said the Lord, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them." Okay, the point is to learn not the way of the heathen, okay? Jake is just stupidly, blindly following Esau, celebrating this holiday so-called, not knowing you celebrating your own downfall. Because you still had Jake in captivity around this time, okay? Slavery wasn't fully abolished, so-called, as they say, okay? I'm going to grab this in the Time article, just touch up on certain things. It says, there it goes. It says, "What to the slave is the 4th of July, the history of Frederick Douglass' searing Independence Day oration." Okay. It says America has been working to fully live up to the ideals laid out in the Declaration of Independence ever since the document was printed on July 4th, 1776. So while the U.S. tends to go all out celebrating freedom on the 4th of July, alternate independence commemorations held a day later often draw attention to a different side of that story, with readings of the Frederick Douglass speech, best known today as "What to the Slave is 4th of July." Okay, so you have that it was coming out. It says, so while the U.S. tends to go all out celebrating freedom on the 4th of July, okay, this is not the ways of for Jake, man. The Lord didn't set this up, okay? Because you still had Jake in captivity at this time, man. So much so, all right, they basically saying that, oh, you can celebrate on the next day, okay? This goes to show you, man, this is not our rest. This holiday so-called was not made for you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans to celebrate, man. Esau, the Malik's looking at y'all and laughing, they clowning. Y'all making them richer. Y'all, people barbecuing and grilling them pork and bullshit, okay? And that's, I say that, the people in my house, they doing that too, okay? Just goes to show you that Jake is destroyed, man, okay? It says, The speech was originally delivered at a moment when the country was fiercely locked in debate over the question of slavery. But there's a reason why it was remained famous more than 150 years after emancipation, says David Blight, author of the 2019 blah blah blah. Forget him. Jump down. It says, to some, celebrations of American independence on July 4th are a reminder of the country's hypocrisy on the matter of freedom. Okay, so it says celebrations of the American independence on July 4th. And you Negroes, Hispanics, Native American Indians, y'all have to realize that y'all are not Americans, man. You know, well, these 2/3 are can be likened unto Babylonians, man, because they're not going to repent. They're not going to seek YAHAWASHI before the ones who the Lord finds willing and the Lord deems so. You have a chance to repent and come out of that, man. Okay, stop celebrating these pagan holidays and stop serving your oppressor. Jake fails to realize you making your oppressor rich. Y'all going to buy fireworks. Y'all going to buy all this food. You wasting up all this electricity. All right, gases to grill with and all this other stuff. Are you just making your oppressor richer? You getting poorer and this devil is getting richer. Okay, all for what? To pop some fireworks and eat some abominations just to say, oh, it's the 4th of July, just to end up being broke by the next month. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, it says even today, America's history of racism is still being written. While other forms of modern day slavery persist in the US and around the world, for those who feel that way, July 5th may be an easier day to celebrate. On that day in 1827, 4,000 African Americans paraded down Broadway in New York City to celebrate the end of slavery in their state. Now, mind you, not being simple, but that number alone, 4,000 African Americans. For one, obviously we know you can't be African American, but Jakes, you only got 4,000 Jakes who paraded down Broadway in New York City to celebrate the end of slavery in their state. Wow, that was going on in New York. Okay, what about the Jake in the rest of the 49 states? Okay, what was going on then? Okay, it was still slavery going on heavily at this time. Okay, and you got Jake just willy-nilly partying and just going on about their day, not really taking into consideration what they really worshiping and serving. Jeremiah 4:22, for my people is foolish. All right, foolish going. They have not known me. They are Sod's children. Sod is going into stupid, man. Because Jake is stupid on this side, man. Jake is so far gone, they can't even see that their oppressors have them celebrating their own downfall. It says, and they have none understanding. Jake has no understanding, man. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. Jake is wise to do evil. Jake could go buy fireworks, like we said, by the swine, all these abominations, throw it on a grill, sit back with a beer. It's 4th of July, man. Time to pop some fireworks. Watch these kids run around, put on the game or something. Sitting back, just being gluttonous niggards, man. Okay. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. All right, to do good they have no knowledge. Jake don't stop and consider the Lord. Jake don't stop and say, what was really going on back then? Why am I celebrating this? Where did this come from? Okay, in the same way as we were in the world younger coming up, we didn't really question certain things, but as you get older, YAHAWASHI open you up to this truth. Set you free from the chains of this world. All right, the chains that are in your mind are now broken off. Okay, through the spirit of YAHAWASHI. The Lord freed us from these things, man. Okay, he stopped us from serving these false idols. All right, the Lord got us out of these churches, and the Lord also got us off of Esau's delusions, man. The delusion that Esau pushed on us, man. The enchantments and all that stuff isn't gonna work no more, man. All right, Jake is wise to do evil, but to do good, to serve YAHAWASHI, to seek the Lord, to try to seek to please the Lord. They have no knowledge of that, man. Jake don't even consider the Lord. Okay, it says one person who felt that way was Douglas, the famous abolitionist who was himself born into slavery. When the Ladies Anti-Slavery Society of Rochester, New York invited Douglas to give a July 4th speech in 1852, Douglas opted to speak on July 5th instead. Okay, it says addressing an audience of about 600 at the newly constructed Corinthian Hall, he started out by acknowledging that the signers of the Declaration of Independence were brave and great men, and that the way that they wanted the republic to look was in the right spirit. But he said, speaking more than a decade before slavery was ended nationally, A lot of work still needed to be done so that all citizens can enjoy life, which is that point. All right. Jake wasn't freed as a whole, man. Okay, Jake was still in captivity. All right. Jake celebrating the freedom of America when you weren't free, nigga. You was in that slave plantation picking cotton. You weren't free. All right. Then you had the house slaves. Y'all was in there cooking for Daddy Esau, man. Okay. So around this time, you know, you had Jake during slavery times trying to free other Jake still. All right, and they telling you July 4th is America got its independence. You know, we're free. You know, which is false. It's very false. It says, but he said, speaking more than a decade before slavery was ended nationally, a lot of work still needed to be done so that all citizens can enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Above your national tumultuous joy, the July 4th celebrations of white Americans were the mournful wails of millions whose heavy chains are today rendered more intolerable by the jubilee shouts that reach them. Okay, and I'm going to grab this. Jeremiah 10:2, thus said the Lord YAHAWASHI. Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed at them. All right, touching up on that point. You know, quick and simple. All right, the 4th of July is not to be celebrated by Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, so-called. All right, Jakes, okay? You were not freed on this day. This is a holiday so-called for your oppressors, okay? You're making your oppressors richer, and your Jake is just getting dumber and dumber. Every year they celebrate, man. All right, your oppressors just looking at you and laughing. This is the easiest money they've ever made in their life. All right? So YAHAWASHI, this lesson was edifying and straight to the point. And I'd like to give our glory, honor, and praises to YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do teach and rule well. And peace and salutations to the hopeful less scattered abroad. Until next time, I do say shalom and a bob a ball. Soon.